Oscar Bevis for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I'm here in Manchester at the Ultimate Boxer 4 press conference/draw, and I'm delighted to be joined by...
Done that before, hasn't
Yeah, he's done it.
he? Slick.
Too many times today.
Slick. Better than Coogan, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I've heard that before as well.
Have you?
Um,
Well, I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I'm delighted to be joined by Spencer Rover and Jake Wood, pound for pound podcasters. Guys, you're down here today at the Ultimate Boxer press conference, like I said. Just in terms of the idea of Ultimate Boxer, I feel like personally it's tapping into a different boxing audience. What do you guys think of the idea as a whole?
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, weren't we? It was just that I think the idea of Ultimate Boxer was similar to what they used to do, like Prize Fighter back in the day on Sky many moons ago. But what they've done is they've reinvented it, and they've captured a younger audience. They've gone into influencers, YouTubers, and we went to the last show, and you turn up there, you look around, and the audience is actually really young and a non-boxing crowd as well. And I think that's what's good for the sport. I think that they're tapping into a totally different audience, and it's working. It's growing. It's going from strength to strength.
Yeah, what he said. No, I think Spencer's right. You know, it's they're getting a younger audience. I think what Benjamin Shalom has done with, I mean, I love the format anyway. I used to love Prize Fighter when it's on Sky, and I think it's it's just so exciting. It's you know what you're getting, 3-minute rounds. If one of the fighters loses the first round, you know they've got to come out for the next 2 rounds. It's basically a tear up. That there are odds on each of the fighters, but I think we talked to Steve Bunce earlier, and he said, it's very hard to call these nights. Often the favourite. Anything can happen. I think that's the the upshot of it. So from a viewer's point of view, it's very exciting. And I think it's perfect for a younger audience. It's it's the Instagram generation, isn't it? They can't sit there for 10 rounds, 12 rounds, sort of see a tactical fight. They just want to see 2 guys come out, have a tear up, have a good fight. And I think with Ultimate Boxer, that's what you're getting.
I mean, we know you two are both big boxing fans, of course. Do you feel like you can sort of understand perhaps why there are hardcore fans that are sceptical about this sort of format?
Well, I think it's just because they're stuck in their ways. Really, they're used to the old school way, going there and watching 4-round fights on the undercards with not very many people in the audience. Only your really hardcore fans. Then your 6-round fights, 8 rounds, and then like your sort of main events. And I think this is slightly different. So. Some people just don't like change. I think that change is good. I think that we're in a new era now where everything's changing, everything's online. People watch all the content online, and so you're capturing a different market. And I think that Ultimate Boxer has ultimately gone with that as well. They've sort of they're running a parallel with that.
Yeah.
So I think that you're always going to get a different audience, I think that people that are stuck in their ways, old school guys, just don't like change, do they?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were involved. Me and Spencer were putting on the Logan Paul KSI fight and Joe Weller fight before that. And I remember at the time, there was a lot of criticism and scepticism about what they were doing. But if you look at the figures and the money they made, it's the biggest white collar fight in the history of the sport. I think you had a sense that the boxing world was kind of looking a bit sceptical about it. But I remember we had a chat with Eddie Hearn probably a week after the event, and he was saying, look, I think they're definitely onto something, if you even just look at the demographic of who was in the audience, it's a really very young crowd. But me and Spencer were talking at the time, even if you pick up 10% of those, that crowd who've come to it because of KSI fans, Logan Paul fans, and they like what they see and they go on to be a boxing fan, well then you've captured a whole new audience. I don't know I think the figures on that was something like 10 million or something, maybe more. If you pick up 10% of them that are going to go on to be boxing fans, in the future, I think that's important for the sport, a younger audience. So I haven't got a problem with it personally. I can see why people might have. They like the traditional spit and sawdust kind of, I love that as well. I love York Hall and I love the tradition of the sport and all. I think that's really important. But I think, again, there has to be new formats and new ideas to bring a new audience to the sport. And I'm really pleased for it.
I think we're in that crossover period though, aren't we? Whereas as it's like we are now deemed, like it or not, as old school. Do you know what I mean? And this new generation coming through, like our kids now, they watch everything online. They watch all that content online. And by the audience that they're capturing here with this Ultimate Boxer, they're getting a lot of YouTubers and influencers and all that. So the kids that are watching it are watching actually the people in the crowd as well. And they're like, oh look, so-and-so's and so-and-so. it's time. Times have changed slightly, and I think that they're going with those times. That's why I find it. I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
an exciting event for them, isn't
Yeah.
it, as well? It's they'll come there. You've got the loud music, you've got the great production value. They'll go there, get dressed up, have a good night, and then they'll go out afterwards. So I think it's a different feel to it, as opposed to just going there to see the boxing. But yeah, it is what it is.
Okay, well, I said this to you guys beforehand. It's been a long time since IFL have caught up with you face to face. So much has happened in boxing since then, as always. Big story, sort of the heavyweight division. I just heard you talking to Dave about White Rivas on the 20th. Of course, there was the Joshua defeat to Ruiz. Fury's fought since then. A devastating knockout by Wilder. Can I just sort of have a summary from you to where you think that leaves everybody in the division and where it can go from here towards the back end of the year?
Well, I think for me, I think Ruiz winning the world heavyweight title against Joshua against all the odds just dropped a bomb in the heavyweight division and shook everything up and sort of opened all the doors really. It was a devastating loss for Joshua. Do I think he can come back? Yeah, I do. Do I think he should have gone straight into the rematch? Not sure about that. I don't think he should have. I think that maybe he should have took a warm-up fight first. He's taken a massive gamble by doing that. But I think Tyson Fury coming back from the mental health issues and what he's done, and he's sort of captured the audience now, and he's become, the nation's sweetheart because of what he's doing. So that's really good, and he just seems to be improving all the time. Deontay Wilder's still doing his thing as well. Joseph Parker had a wing last week. Listen, it's wide open right now, the heavyweight division, and I think it's probably the most exciting it's been for a long time. If Joshua can win the rematch when that is announced, and if he can go and do that, I think that's going to be, one of the biggest wins of modern times. But I do think it's a massive fight.
The debate is that a bigger fight than Wilder Fury 2? Possibly. I don't know. It's more fascinating. It's more interesting. It's more intriguing to see what's going to happen. You think? Yeah. I mean, everyone's going to want to see that fight. They're talking about a rematch. It's been signed off. November, December. We'll wait and see when the rematch is. All eyes are going to be on that, and on Joshua. You thought Joshua had pressure before that, in his career. He's always dealt with pressure, but I think the pressure going to go into this rematch. If he does do it straight away, there's going to be so much more. Every eye is going to be on him. They're going to be watching the ring. The minute he steps out for that ring walk, people are going to want to know: is he the same as what he was before? Is he different? Is he? That's going to be really intense. So yeah, I think it's a fascinating fight.
And it's quite strange considering the public perception of the first Joshua Ruiz fight was this is a walkover.
Well, listen, the public perception of the first fight was, why is Joshua boxing this little fat guy? That was the bottom line. People didn't even know his name. People couldn't remember his name, purely because it didn't look like he was going to bring anything to the table. But you looked at him and you looked at his style. Stylistically, he was always going to cause Joshua problems. He throws punches in clusters. He likes to throw punches when he's under attack. So if anyone that's sitting in the pocket, it's going to be dangerous because he comes back with 4 or 5 shots. So I think it was always going to be a dangerous fight. And obviously Joshua got caught in the third round and never recovered. But Jake said there's massive pressure now on his shoulders because we've talked about this, haven't we, on the podcast many times, but his career's in the balance. He's not like other heavyweights. He's not like, Derek Chisora or even your Dillian Whites, where if they ever lost, they can sort of come back, rebuild and all that. Joshua's in a slightly different, because he's like, he's like a massive brand, Joshua. He's got all these, he's got so much pressure on his shoulders. I mean, I'm praying that he can do it, because I think it's going to be great for not just for heavyweight boxing, just great for boxing if he can pull it off. But it is a massive risk, and like I say, I think his career's in the balance in this fight, which is, like you said, Jake, like massive pressure.
Yeah, massive. I don't think he should be taking that fight straight away. I think it's a great time, I think, to go away and rebuild. As we know, I don't think Joshua's the finish article. No one's trying to pretend that Joshua is the finished article. I remember when he fought Povetkin, I got a lot of criticism for saying that I thought Povetkin was going to do him. Now, as it played out, Joshua won that fight, but all I could see before that were there were vulnerabilities. Joshua's been rocked, hasn't he, by Klitschko, by Dillian White. Povetkin, as it happened, broke his nose in the first round. There are vulnerabilities with AJ.
And on paper was probably a tougher fight than Ruiz at the time, actually.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I like Povetkin, but obviously coming towards the end of his career,
I think that was the difference on paper.
Yeah,
that Ruiz is very much at the beginning of his career. When I say beginning of his career, still very fresh, young, 29 years of age, whereas Povetkin had a long, hard road and was maybe not the fighter he was a couple of years prior to that, whereas Ruiz just seems to be getting better. He had a close points loss to Parker. A lot of people felt that he even won the fight, but he's obviously learned from that. He's gone away. He's worked on stuff in the gym and he's learned from it, and he actually proved to be a big danger man. And that's why I think it's such a risk, man. Taking that fight
for me, I wouldn't take that fight straight away. Personally, I think if I was managing AJ, I would. It's a perfect time to rebuild, get a couple of wins under your belt, get more experience, a bit more. It just seems like from now until November. What are you fundamentally going to be able to change? In what you've got, your skill set. You're going into a guy straight away that you've lost to. I just think mentally, it's just for me. I just think it's just too much pressure, and too much riding on that. If Joshua loses that fight, then you lose. All of a sudden, you're looking at a career that was, sort
it's
of.
It's in tatters, basically, isn't it?
It's crazy in such a short space of time.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's what Spencer said earlier. Ruiz winning that fight. It was in some ways the best thing for that division, the heavyweight division, because now there's so many different options and it's so exciting again. 3 months ago we were all moaning because Wilder and Joshua and Fury weren't fighting each other, and now it's the most talked about division again, and everyone's intrigued about what's going to happen next, and that's what you want. You want the sort of the interest. Dillian Whyte is still there. You've got Alexander Usyk. He's going to come up to heavyweight. It's exciting times.
And talking about Dillian Whyte, who's fighting on the 20th of July against Oscar Rivas, which is, by the way, a really dangerous fight. Anyone that don't know Rivas, he can fight, man. He's like serious. He was a good amateur, great pro. He's putting it all on the line there. You got to respect Dillian Whyte for what he's doing. He's been over 600 days WBC, number one.
Crazy.
He's not mandatory. I just think that it's just crazy. And I spoke to him about it. And he's putting it on the line. He says, you know what, I don't care if I'm fighting for titles or not fighting for titles, I just want to fight anybody that's put in front of me. You've got to respect the guy for that. And I think if anyone deserves a shot now, it's Dillian Whyte because
will he get it?
That's what I'm saying. I think if anyone deserves it, it's him. Will he get it or not? I don't know. But that's a risky fight, by the way, on the 20th as well. That's a great bill on the 20th. Derek Chisora against Skelter as well is a great fight.
Good fight.
It's a dangerous fight.
And then you've got
Dave Allen and
Price.
Dave
Price. Yeah, that's a fascinating fight.
Well, that's a 50-50 fight. 5-2 halves maybe. Pricey with the big shots. Will he get him early? Will Dave Allen take him into the later rounds? Listen, that's one of those bills where we really don't know what's going to happen in any one of those fights. Dave
really did say today, Dave Allen said on Twitter that if it goes past 6 rounds, it's going to be like watching two men fight underwater. That was his.
No, I don't believe that. I think Dave Allen's in great shape.
Dave Allen's smart in what he says anyway. It's all part of his.
He does seem to downplay himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Dave Allen's more focused now than he's ever been in his career. I think Darren Parker's got him in great shape. You look at photos of him now compared to a year and a half ago. You can't. It's a different man. It's a different man. So I think Dave Allen's saying. I think.
But Big Price, he knows his career is on the line. He knows it's the last roll of the dice. He knows it's the last shot. And so he's going to go out there and give it anything. And speaking to Dave, and when we were speaking to Caldwell earlier, Caldwell said, single punch power, Pricey will hit harder than anyone. And he said, so he's always got that in his locker. Dave Allen's a guy that doesn't move around the ring a lot. He's got good head movement. Barker's been working on that. But ultimately, he likes to go forward and go at fighters. Now, when you do that and you're in a heavyweight fight with someone that can hit like Pricey, it's a 50-50.
I think, for me, I think Dave Allen does in mid-rounds. I think it starts, it starts off lively, and I think Pricey slows down, and Dave Allen puts it on him, stops him maybe 6 or 7. We'll see.
Hey guys, well, it seems like we summed up the heavyweight division in about 10 minutes there. I know we've all got media, or say we've all got, you guys have got some other things that you have to do. So I'm just going to... Oh, you done?
Yeah, just waiting for you.
Just go
well, I'll make it quick. Now, I just want to ask you, sort of, what you're looking for in boxing for the back end of the year. There's so many big fights spoken about, both domestically and on the world scene. Billy Joe Saunders, Callum Smith domestically, potentially Canelo Kovalev. What sort of fights are you two hoping to see towards the back end of this year?
I think for me, it's all about the heavyweight division for me, as in with our personal connections with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, etc. We want to see, obviously, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. That's the dream fight that everybody wants to see. That's the one that we want to see with what Fury's been through, and what he's overcome. Not getting the verdict last time out where it was a draw, when in my eyes he won the fight. I think he deserves a rematch. I'd love to see that. And Tyson Fury obviously to pick up the WBC fight, and also Anthony Joshua to reverse that loss against all the odds with Andy Ruiz. Yeah. So for me, they're the two dream fights, not just because they're heavyweight fights, but because of circumstances surrounding them both. They're the fights I would love to see, and they're the outcomes.
Katie Taylor, will she get the rematch? Pursoon, I don't think she wants it. I think Pursoon probably deserves the rematch. Felt that she lost that. I felt that close fight, but I think Pursoon probably edged it. I'd love to see that rematch. That was an incredible fight. Yeah, so probably fight of the year for me so far. But yeah, as Spencer said, the heavyweight division is so exciting. Alexander Usyk, looking forward to seeing what he can do at heavyweight. I think that's really intriguing. Can he bring that power up with him? He's not going to be the biggest heavyweight, but as we've seen he's got a skill set, man. So I think that would be really intriguing. Can't wait to see that. So hopefully he'll come over his injury and fight before the year's end. And
there's actually news today that the Usyk Takam fight will be rescheduled instead of finding a new replacement opponent. That was a good fight.
I think that's a good, it's a good debut for Usyk. Takam's, teak tough and tough guy. I think it'll be a good test, but I think Usyk will come through that. But
it's a good yardstick for him because Takam's not the biggest heavyweight out there, but he's very like Usyk. He's light on his feet, Takam, and he carries good hands.
Tough,
he carries good hand speed as well. So it'll give us. Listen, we'll find out more obviously about Usyk than we will Takam, but it'll give us an indication of where Usyk's going to be. I think Usyk, because he was a massive cruiserweight anyway, I think he could be a real problem for the rest of the heavyweights out there right now. Because I think he'll put on a couple of stone and he'll develop, he'll keep that speed and that mobility. And I think, it's going to be interesting times. The next 12 months, if he can perform at heavyweight the way he obviously has at cruiserweight, we're in for exciting times, man. The heavyweight division at the moment is flying.
Yeah, for me as well, Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders, Canelo, where they get the shot, Triple G Canelo. I'd love to see Callum Smith Canelo. I think Canelo gives him. I think Smith gives Canelo problems. I really do. I think with those body shots and that. But again, you just don't know until you step up to that elite level. What he's going to have. But for me, that's fascinating. I love Callum Smith as a fighter. I think he's a great fighter, very exciting to watch. So yeah, I'd love to see him move up to that level, and hopefully he'll get that fight. So yeah, that for me, that would be another exciting fight.
Well, I don't think there's a fight in there that anyone wouldn't want to see. So agree with you there, boys. Thank you for giving some of your time to IFL TV.
And
Shout out to Coogan,
good to speak to you.
Yeah.
I will do.
Tell him to keep sending the checks.
Yeah.
Cheers, boys. Thank you very much.